Hey, it's no hesitation. And I wanted to talk about specifically about everything in life always carries a lesson. And you don't truly learn just by hearing something. And that's something that you need to understand, bro. Real learning happens through the actions that you take. And I'm not saying that you can't learn from other people's mistakes. I'm not saying that you can't learn from what you see from someone else's success or failure, but you need to understand that you need to go through that failure, and failure is what strengthens you. You need to understand that you got to think about it like a sensei and a student. And a sensei can really teach everything he knows. But if the student doesn't step outside that dojo to fight, to lose, to struggle, is he really getting stronger? Is he truly expanding himself if he never applies the lessons? Life works through, you know, life goes through that situation opposite, especially in business and life in general. You hear it all the time. It takes a lot of no's to get a yes. And it takes a lot of hits and crashes in life and burnouts before you start to actually win. But those wins are eventually what's going to reward you and heal you and justify everything that you had to endure throughout those lifetimes. Life isn't going to be easy. And if it were, everyone would have exactly what they desire, whether that is to get strong physically, to have a powerful mindset, financial, freedom, especially going through this new year, 2026 and beyond. But none of that comes without facing difficulty. You can't bypass the problems in this world. You have to move through them. And one of the most powerful things you need to understand within yourself is the way to reprogram yourself is by changing. Reprogramming yourself is by changing how you look at problems. That's one of the most important things. Looking at them through a different lens. Instead of seeing them as obstacles, you see them as opportunities. You can ask yourself, if I face this head on, what will it give me on the other side? What type of information can I get from falling? And you need to understand the moment you start to fall into that procrastination, that fear, that doubt, is the moment you start to slow yourself down. I truly believe that in this world, problems have solutions in it, especially if it's in disguise, especially if we can't comprehend something. You can't have a problem without a solution, and you can't have a solution without a problem. I think that's just a universal law. I think when you start to view problems differently, you gain the ability to face situations with strength, with clarity. Because at the end of the day, the only person who can truly challenge yourself is you. You are the only one. Nobody can control you. Not even your own parents. Not even society. Not even the certain circumstances. Even your parents can tell you, oh, don't do this, and eventually you'll fucking do it. You need to understand that you are the one that decides how you respond, how you move forward. It's like this. You can't tame a dog by forcing it. You can't tame a lion by just charging at it. That's just fucking ridiculous. You have to guide it. You have to create conditions within your life that leads to you. That's the same thing that applies to self-control, to self-mastery. You don't fix yourself by jumping aggressive at your problems. That only causes them to slip away. that causes a way to have more situations in your life. Instead, you set traps. You plant seeds in your mind. When problems appears, you work with it. You strategize. You ask yourself, okay, well, how can I move through this instead of fighting it? How can I maneuver this? Because it goes back to every problem has a solution. It's inevitable, just like gravity. Even when you can't explain something in the moment, time will reveal it. Time, it's like the answers will always reveal itself 5 to 10 years later. You'll start being like, holy shit, you get that clarity. That thing arrives, especially when technology wasn't a thing back then. And they were learning, they were testing new things like Microsoft, especially when they started inventing phones. Like, it took some time, and maybe they were stuck there. Maybe there was something that they couldn't comprehend. Like, truly understand, like, there's certain circumstances in life that you cannot comprehend, but then 5-10 years later, they find a solution for it. If us as humans, we have the capability of doing that, then you have the ability to solve anything in your own life. But it all starts within you. You have to focus on your inner world. You have to focus on your character, your habits, your self-awareness. You have to ask yourself daily, what can I do today that will make a meaningful impact for my inner future? Even if it's one small step, which is visualizing, which I'm telling you, that helps tremendously, especially if you're not doing it yet. If it's journaling helps you tremendously. Making sure that you go and you look back and you track your progress and your growth, that helps you tremendously a lot. Seeing that progress, even if it's small, is rewarding, and it keeps you moving forward. At the same time, you must balance that with discipline, with compassion. Being overly strict can actually break you. That's why it's the same thing as being careless as well. So you need to make sure that you're balancing yourself with both things. You need to balance yourself with not hustling, but at the same time, not giving a shit. And it might, and I'm saying this again, it might be hard to be like, well, how the fuck do I do that? The way that you start to understand it is by thinking about it. It's about you testing it. It's about you already taking the actions, and eventually you'll start to learn how to balance between being careless and being overworked. You need to understand that growth is undercover, and through time, through patience, through the experience that you have to go through, especially like my dad always used to say, sometimes you have to bump your head a few times before it finally clicks on you. You can learn something, like I said, from other people, from people's mistakes. You can learn something from their own failures, but messing up is the part of the process. It's the part where you level up. It's the part that you evolve into this newer version of yourself. You can't beat yourself down, especially when you do fail. A lot of people have those habits when they start fucking up or they start messing up. They're like, fuck this. I can't do this. I'm terrible. You need to stop doing that. You need to understand that all of us, especially all of us, we're imperfect human beings. We make mistakes. And I'll be honest, I'll still take notes before speaking. I still refine my thoughts. I still try to improve. I still try to use ChatGPT to make my conversations a little bit more cleaner, to be able to speak in my videos. That part is growth, because it's something that I still need to improve. But even especially when you're doing it, especially that I know that this is a problem, I still take the actions to keep moving forward. I don't let my situation dictate me. I don't let my problems dictate me. What am I going to do? Eventually, I will figure that out. It's something that you don't rush. It's something that, I'm telling you, all that shit is a natural thing. You need to understand that your situations won't make sense at first. You might wonder if this is what is needs to happen for me to become a man. Why am I still facing these situations? But you need to understand this. The best thing you can do is your inner work. Especially when life presents you with situations. You need to understand they're meant to guide you to that next level. That's why wisdom teaches us to not burn bridges. That's why sometimes the very thing that you resist becomes the stepping stone to your next breakthrough. You have to think about it. You need to start to think, especially not in a human perspective. You need to start looking at life in different types of angles, in different types of situations. You need to understand this too. And it goes back to, I'm trying to finish off with our problems that we go through. You have to think about it like this, right? Especially an eagle. Sometimes there's birds that will actually land on the eagle and will start to attack it. It will start pecking on its head consistently to the point where it would actually bleed a little bit. And you can even actually look it up in the video. You can see that the eagle doesn't fight back. In fact, he doesn't even panic. He doesn't force anything. Instead, he flies higher. So as higher he goes, that small bird eventually can't breathe. And eventually it falls away on its own. You need to understand that is the transformation. That is the way how you should look at things in life. That's why it goes back to, you need to start looking at life in different types of angles. You need to start to analyze everything completely different. You don't need to force change. You rise above it. You need to understand that you can't control everything around you. Just like you can't control the weather. If it's cold, it's cold. But you adapt to that type of temperature. But you can't change the environment without first mastering what's inside of you. If your mind isn't right, you won't go anywhere. And that's the fucking truth. And the moment you start to realize this, is the moment you start to, like I said, look at different types of perspectives. And that will shift you. You stop to force yourself, and you start to work on your external world, your inner world. You stop focusing on the noise that's around you. You start to pay attention to yourself, to your inner self. You start to see patterns. You start to catch your own mistakes. And over time, you find solutions for them. Even addictions, bro. Even long term, like, especially like with me, bro, I still have addictions sometimes. And addictions, even with that, I'm still facing through it. But eventually, I'm literally overcoming it. I haven't done it consistently, which is a good thing, but I'm overcoming these things. But it all takes steps. It all takes step by steps. You need to constantly like rewire yourself, rewire your brain to change everything. It's not about forcing action. It's about changing how you see the world. Two people can look at the exact same situation, like the same thing as a stock, and see a completely different outcome. One sees no potential, and the other one sees opportunity and takes the action and profits from it. The difference between the two different people isn't the situation, it's the perspective of how they look at things. I'm telling you, it continues going back to that. And it continues on seeing opportunity in a different way, seeing your problems in a different way, seeing yourself and your inner work that you're trying to do. And that's where real change starts and begins.